Something about Jimin showing up at the Chicago Soundcheck today felt different. Because the second he stepped in front of the fans, the entire atmosphere changed. And honestly, the concert has not even started yet. Jimin arrived for the first day Chicago Soundcheck, looking so effortlessly good that fans barely had time to process what they were seeing before the screaming started. There was no complicated stage outfit, no dramatic styling, nothing over the top, just Jimin. And somehow that was more than enough. He showed up wearing a soft skin color shirt paired with sky blue jeans, and the combination looked unbelievably clean on him. But then fans noticed the hair, that long blonde hair. The way it fell around his face made him look completely different from the Jimin fans had been seeing recently. And when he added those adorable nerd-style glasses, that was it. Chicago was finished. The glasses gave him this sweet, slightly playful look, while the blonde hair made him look almost unreal. It was the kind of styling that should have been simple, but somehow every little detail worked perfectly together. And the funniest part, Jimin did not even need to do anything dramatic. He could simply walk onto the stage, look around, smile at the crowd, and thousands of fans would lose their minds. That is exactly what happened. The moment fans realized Jimin was there, the volume inside the venue seemed to explode. You could feel the excitement building even before the actual performance began. And this is what makes Jimin so fascinating. He does not always need a huge entrance to command attention. Sometimes his presence alone is enough. Fans were already reacting to his appearance, but then came those little moments that made the atmosphere even warmer. Jimin looked comfortable, happy, and completely aware of the love coming from the crowd. He was not standing there like someone who expected the attention. He looked genuinely touched by it. And that made the whole moment feel different. Because after everything BTS and ARMY have experienced together, seeing Jimin standing there in Chicago surrounded by thousands of fans feels bigger than just another soundcheck. It feels like another chapter of their story. But then fans started focusing on one question. If Jimin can create this much chaos during a soundcheck, what is going to happen when the actual concert begins? Because remember, this was only the soundcheck. The main show was still hours away, and Jimin had already managed to turn the entire place upside down without even performing the full concert. Imagine what happens when those lights go down. Imagine when the music starts. Imagine Jimin walking onto that stage in front of the Chicago crowd with all that energy already waiting for him. That is when things could get completely insane. And there is another reason fans could not stop talking about his look. The color of his shirt worked beautifully against the sky blue jeans, giving him this soft, effortless appearance. It was casual enough for a soundcheck, but somehow he still looked like he had stepped straight out of a fashion shoot. Then there were the glasses. Fans have always had a soft spot for Jimin in glasses, but this particular combination hit differently. The blonde hair, the glasses, the relaxed outfit, that smile. It was giving fans everything at once. And you could almost imagine ARMY collectively thinking, how are we supposed to survive the actual concert? Because Jimin was not even trying to look intimidating. He looked adorable, he looked approachable, he looked happy. And somehow that made him even more dangerous. 1 second fans were admiring his outfit, and the next they were completely distracted by his expressions. That is another thing about Jimin that makes his appearances so addictive to watch. He can turn the smallest gesture into a moment. A smile becomes a headline, a wave becomes a viral clip. A glance toward the crowd becomes something fans replay for days. And today in Chicago, the energy was already there. But there is something especially heartwarming about seeing Jimin receive that kind of reaction. Because behind every scream is a fan who waited for this moment. Someone who may have traveled for hours. Someone who saved money for months. Someone who watched BTS through a screen and finally got to see Jimin standing right in front of them. And Jimin seemed to understand that. That is why these soundcheck moments can feel so special. They are not just rehearsals. They are tiny moments where artists and fans get to see each other without all the distance and spectacle of the main show. And today, Chicago got a very special version of Jimin. The soft, blonde-haired, glasses-wearing Jimin who walked onto the stage looking like he had no idea how much damage he was about to cause. But while fans were busy freaking out over his appearance, another thought started spreading. The Soundcheck energy already feels this intense. So what happens when the full BTS concert begins? Because 3 hours can feel like an eternity when you already know something huge is coming. And if this is how Chicago reacted to Jimin simply appearing, the main show might be on an entirely different level. But this is only the beginning, because there is still the stage, the lights, the music, the performances, and most importantly, Jimin in front of a full crowd that has been waiting for him. So if the Soundcheck was already enough to make Chicago lose its mind, just wait until Jimin actually starts performing. And honestly, this is where things get even more exciting. Because Jimin is one of those performers who can completely change his energy the moment the music starts. At Soundcheck, he can be soft, playful, relaxed, and adorable. Then the stage lights come on. And suddenly, it is a completely different Jimin. That contrast is exactly what makes fans so excited for the main show. The guy Chicago saw during Soundcheck was casually standing there in a simple shirt, sky blue jeans, and glasses. But the Jimin who appears once the performance begins, that is the Jimin who knows exactly how to own a stage. And after seeing his energy today, fans now have every reason to be excited. There is also something beautiful about the timing of all of this. Chicago is only getting started. The first day Soundcheck already gave fans a moment they will probably be talking about for a long time, but the real performance has not even happened yet. It is almost like Jimin accidentally gave everyone a preview of what the night could become, and that preview was enough to create complete chaos. The blonde hair alone became a major talking point, because long blonde hair on Jimin has a completely different effect. It gives him this almost ethereal appearance, especially when paired with those glasses. He looked soft and youthful, but at the same time there was something incredibly confident about him. After waiting, counting down, preparing and imagining this moment, seeing him physically standing on that stage must have felt almost surreal for so many people. The exact moment they realize he is actually here. Fans get to see little expressions and interactions that might disappear once the full production begins. And Jimin seemed to fit perfectly into that environment. He looked comfortable, he looked happy, and most importantly, he looked like he was enjoying being there. That matters, because when an artist genuinely enjoys the moment, fans feel it too. And now the anticipation for the main concert is on another level. 3 hours suddenly feels like 3 years, because fans have already seen the blonde hair, they have already seen the glasses, they have already seen the outfit, they have already heard the screams. Now they want the full experience. They want the lights to come on. They want the music to start. They want Jimin to step onto that stage and show everyone exactly why his presence can change the entire atmosphere of a venue. And who knows, maybe the Soundcheck was only a tiny preview of what is coming. Maybe there are moments tonight that will become the clips everyone talks about tomorrow. Maybe there will be a performance that completely steals the spotlight. Maybe Jimin will deliver one of those expressions that sends the fandom into another meltdown. And that is the beauty of watching BTS live. You never completely know which moment is going to become unforgettable. Sometimes it is the performance. Sometimes it is a tiny interaction. Sometimes it is a smile. And sometimes it is simply Jimin walking onto the stage wearing glasses. Chicago has already given us one unforgettable moment. Now the countdown to the main show has officially begun. And after seeing the reaction to his Soundcheck appearance, one thing feels almost certain. Jimin is going to have Chicago in the palm of his hand tonight. The question is not whether fans are excited. They clearly are. The real question is, how much more chaos is Jimin about to create? Because if this was the reaction before the concert even started, I honestly do not think Chicago is ready for what happens when the real show begins. And neither are we, so tell me in the comments, what did you think of Jimin's Chicago Soundcheck look? The blonde hair, the nerd glasses, the skin color shirt with those sky blue jeans. Which part of his look caught your attention first? And most importantly, what are you expecting from Jimin during the main show? I want to know what you think, so make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like it, subscribe to my channel for more BTS updates and moments, and share this video with another ARMY who would completely lose their mind over Jimin's Chicago look. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.